So sit however you're comfortable. If you prefer to sit on a chair at the beginning and end of the class, that's obviously absolutely fine. Vrksasana is the traditional way to start and end an Iyengar yoga class anyway, but if your knees or hips are uncomfortable, and the knees are usually uncomfortable because of stiffness in the hips, then do sit on a chair. The main thing is to be upright. So lift the sides of the trunk, lift the front body, roll the shoulders back and drop the shoulders away from the ears. And then fold the hands in front of the chest. So having lengthened the spine from the buttock bones up to the chest, then move the face slightly back so the back of the neck lengthens and the crown of the head lifts. And then now you've built your pose, quietly close your eyes, press the hands equally towards each other. Just check you're not overdoing one side more than the other. And drop your tongue away from the roof of the mouth. Now that you've built the pose, take some deeper rounds of inhalation, longer exhalations to find the release in the pose. So relax the shoulders away from the ears, relax your facial muscles without dropping the chest. Relax your lower abdomen and your inner thighs. So breathe softly and smoothly through the nose. Just observe the gentle flow of breath as it enters the nostrils, crosses the back of the throat, fills the lungs, and moves out of the lungs again. Perhaps it's warmer on the exhalation. Notice the warmth on the top lip. And just a couple more rounds observing that circular action of the breath. Let the breath be at its own natural normal rhythm now. And keep the brow smooth, so let go of any concerns about the future, any regrets about the past. Come into the present moment by linking the mind to the body through the breath. And after the next exhalation, take a deep inhalation if you're joining me for the arms. And when you exhale with the arm, just be aware of the resonance in your head and your chest. Inhale, lift the heart up. Exhale, bow towards your heart in respect to your heart center, the center of compassion. Inhale, exhale as you release the backs of the hands down. Keep the shoulders back. Inhale as you slowly open your eyes and raise your gaze. Then just stretch legs out in front and cross the legs the other way. Simple twist to the right. Using the hand on the far thigh. And we'll do that a couple of times. Just holding the pose, not holding the breath, holding the pose for a couple of beats either side or a couple of breaths either side. Just without thinking too much about alignment or where you're twisting, just getting that gentle, easy movement round of the spine without engaging the mind too much there. Now have a look. You might be using your pillow for your head here, but you might not need it. I'm going to lie down And I'm simply going to be in supta konasana. And then we're going to take the arms over the head, palms facing each other. Then we're going to take the right ankle to the left side and bring that in, holding there for a couple of beats, 5 to 10 breaths, and then we'll put the feet flat on the floor. And then we're going to take a belt and take the feet to the wall for supta padangusthasana. So I'll just remind you of that. We'll have the short end of the mat at the wall. And then, hope you can still see me, the leg up, then out to the side. And we'll do that both sides, okay? So come down to your mats. Put your folded blanket at the left end of your mat and just lie down with that blanket under the head and neck. Have your belt somewhere nearby. And then join the soles of the feet and raise the arms up. And take the thumbnails down towards the floor. So the palms are still facing each other. And you've got that rolling in action of the shoulders, of the upper arms, and the length in the back of the neck. And just breathe here for a few seconds, allowing the weight of the knees to take the inner groin to the inner knee to the outer knee down. So just letting gravity do the weight of opening the groin region. And keep the breath moving. Move the breath in the lower abdomen so you're not tightening there. There's a sense of opening, release, and softness in the lower belly. And then bring the arms back beside the outer thighs and lift your outer thighs with your hands and put your feet flat on the floor. And move the tailbone, the buttocks towards the heels. So you make sure you've got a nice long lumbar on the back of your body. And again, you're softening the abdomen down into that space. So just gently tilt the pelvis so that the tailbone lifts, not away from the floor, but that the pelvis softens down towards the floor. The lower back, I should say, the lower back or the upper pelvis releases down towards the floor, just getting that length vertically along the lower spine. Okay, now keeping the left foot on the floor, take the right outer ankle to the top of the left thigh, just above the knee, and then take the left foot away from the floor, hold between the thighs, and bring your left side towards you. Then use your exhalations. As you breathe, encourage the right thigh to move away. So here it's the opening and releasing of the gluteal muscle, which can become tight at the same time as the inner groin tightens as well. So you're protecting your knees by opening your hips. Use your exhalation to bring your left side gently closer towards you. Both feet are flexed here in this pose. And then release the left foot down to the floor, the right foot down to the floor, and take the left outer ankle to the right thigh. Then take the right foot off the floor and gently, holding between the thighs, bring the right thigh towards you. Breathe and allow the exhalations to release the gluteal muscle, softening and opening on the outer hip region. And then release there and put both feet flat on the floor. And now bend both legs into your chest and hold your shins if you can reach your shins, or hold the backs of the thighs. Bring the thighs towards the chest, and just rock gently from side to side. Then cross your right foot over your left and make some small circles so that you're feeling the lower back get massaged. Feel every point of the lower back reaching the floor as you make small circles with your feet and knees. And then cross the feet the other way and make some small mindful circles in the opposite direction. So you're really feeling where the lower back is massaged as it reaches the floor in that segment of the circle there. Okay, and then roll all the way over to your side to come up. And just put the short edge of your mat at the wall. And if you've got a skirting board like me, you might want to just create a bit of a wall there, a flat surface there at the wall. Then you're going to lie down, take both feet to the wall. You may or may not still want your cushion under your head. If you've got stiff shoulders, you may find that that's quite a nice, restful way of doing this pose and encouraging the back of the neck to stay long. And you also might want to keep the shoulders rolling back and down towards the floor, encouraging that chest opening. But you don't want that height under your head to be so high that you're pushing your head forward. You want the forehead to be just slightly higher than the chin. So pressing both feet into the wall now, bend the right leg. Now you might need, when you've bent your right leg, you might find your left foot becomes light on the wall. So if that's the case, just move in slightly again. You really want a firm pressure of the left foot in the wall. Then stretch the right leg up. Hold both sides of your belt. You've got the belt around the ball of the foot. And just check that your outer right hip moves down, and so does your outer left hip. So the sacrum presses down equally on both sides. You have a tendency to forget the back of the body, becomes a little bit unconscious. But in yoga, we're aiming to bring that awareness to all parts of the body, so that rather than doing a checklist, press the left big toe into the wall, press the left thigh down, grip the right hip in, etc. Your mind, your body, as you become more acclimatized to this way of working, your body and mind work as one, and all parts of the body work simultaneously. Okay, so now we're just going to keep the belt around the right foot. Take hold of the belt, maybe closer towards the foot, and take both tails of the belt in your right hand. Keep your left hand on your left thigh, and then you're going to take the right leg out to the side. You can rest your elbow on the floor if you need to, or keep that arm straight, but then you really need to press into the wall with your left foot and grip in your outer right hip so that you don't roll. Keep your hips stable and try not to shorten the right side of the trunk. So keep breathing with the right leg out diagonally, the left thigh down, the head in line with the trunk, and pull back into the right outer hip. Stabilize your hips. So it's a firm action in the feet and legs to bring the compactness to the hips, which allows this pose to become freer in the standing version. Okay, now bring the right leg up. Put the right foot at the wall now and move in well enough so that your right foot is really well planted into the wall. You're particularly pressing in the mound of the big toe. Don't let that leg roll out. So you want the toes of the right leg to face up. Alignment and accuracy lead to absorption, as Mr. Iyengar would say. So it's about really honoring the body's own channels of energy, the body's natural structure, let's say. So here, try to encourage the right foot to face up. Bring the left foot up into the belt. Take hold of both sides of the belt. And widen the chest. Have your arms straight, but take the outer shoulders down towards the floor and lift the sternum up towards the chin. At the same time, press the top of the thigh on the left leg away from you, so you get the length in the whole of the spine. Be here for a few breaths. Few more breaths. And now take the belt in just the left hand. You might have your index finger between the two tails of the belt, and you're holding the belt with just your left hand. And take that left leg out to the side. Keep stretching into the inner heel and back into the outer hip from the outer heel. So keep the firmness in the hips. The right thigh down. The trunk lengthening, the face and throat soft. Keep the breath moving. And then bring that leg up to upright. Just put both feet into the belt now and pull down with the arms bent this time. Stretch up into the belt with your feet and widen your elbows so that your chest is broad and the outer hips move down towards the floor. Grip the legs in towards each other and breathe. So you're stretching into the heels and opening the backs of the knees. And then release the belt, put the feet flat on the floor. And then roll over to your right side and come up. Then we're going to stand with one side of the body towards the wall. And then we're going to take the other leg up into Vrksasana. So I'm going to stretch my left arm up, take it to the wall, turn that arm to face in. So now the fingernails are on the wall. And then I'm going to bring my right foot up. And you want to broaden and open here, as we were doing in baddha konasana. And then raise both arms up, taking the first arm away from the wall. Now, if you have difficulty with this pose and your foot slides on your leggings, you might just want to take your back to the wall and take a belt around that bent leg ankle. Okay? If you're still practicing, either with your balance or with your, how shall I put it? Just with the pose. Okay, so stand with your right hip facing the camera, your left hip towards the wall. You're about a foot away from the wall. Let's start just with the hands on the hips and start in Tadasana. Lift your toes, broaden the toes, release them down, lift your kneecaps. And as we were doing in supta padangusthasana, feel that outer hip movement inwards so that the legs become firm, the hips become firm, and then the chest can rise up. And now take your left hand to the wall and turn it so the palm is towards the center of the room and the fingernails are on the wall. Okay, now bring your right leg up. Heel into the root of the thigh. If that's not possible for you, just have your foot lower down, much lower down on the calf. Okay, heel into the root of the thigh. Stretch your bent leg side arm up. And then when you're ready with your balance, bring your left arm away from the wall, the left fingers away from the wall. And you can gently touch the wall to check your balance. Press the foot into the thigh into the foot, and encourage the knee to move back, but not without throwing the hips out of alignment. So keep the breath moving. And then release that side. Okay, other side. Stand with your right hip to the wall. You're going to balance on your right leg. You're going to bring your left heel up to the root of the thigh. And then you're going to stretch your right arm up, fingernails to the wall, then the left arm up, and then bring the first arm away from the wall. And you can look on a point, look at a point in front of you that's not moving. And if you are still struggling with the balance, one thing that can be helpful is to think about breathing into your belly. Find that lower gravity point. Keep breathing. Inhale, exhale, and release. Okay. So we're going to do a few seated poses on the floor. I'll just show like this, facing forward. Janu sirsasana. So in opening the hips a little, bring the light down a bit more. I mean, tilt it down a bit more, but turn it up maybe, just so that everyone can see properly. I won't turn my mat face out because we'll have it like this again in a moment. So if you find you've got difficulty in the back of the knee, you might take a brick for Janu sirsasana to take under your outer hip. So this is Janu sirsasana, and I'm taking the foot. If you think of it, it's like your tree pose you were doing just standing. So you're really getting this opening here, and this side of the buttock moves forward. We'll then take a belt and lift up. Now if you can reach your foot, that's great. And then if you can go further, we'll also go into the forward bend. Now, if that is too much for you, then take a chair and you can just do the leg position, taking your hands to a chair and rest your forehead, okay? So sit on your mats. You don't really need to put the mat the other way. And just stretch the legs forward and lift up. And then let the right leg drop out to the side. Hold the back of the knee and bring that foot up. Hold the underside of the foot there, the underside of the ankle. And the foot comes alongside the opposite thigh. If you're a bit more, you've all experienced, but if you're a bit more flexible, you can maybe take the top of that shin onto the floor and the toes underneath the opposite thigh, like that. Okay, you can be on some height, especially if you find it difficult to lift the lower back, because the forward bends start with a forward extension. I'll show you what I mean. So if, for instance, my lower back is like this, I'm not going to I might just touch my feet, but I'm not really lengthening the spine to hinge forward. Sometimes having a bit of height helps you move the sacrum in, move the shoulder blades in, and then you get the length, and then you can go forward. Okay, so the height of this helps you to get the lift in the body, which protects your spine, basically. Okay, so we've got the right foot in Janu sirsasana position. You can hold the calf and thigh muscle and separate one away from the other. Stretch the left foot forward, particularly the inner edge of that foot. Have your belt handy. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, hinge forward. Hold the foot or hold the belt around the ball of the foot. And then you can either come all the way up to sitting upright, or walk the hands forward a bit, and come to wherever you're able, so that you've still got the length in the front body, the lower back plugged in, shoulder blades plugged in. And lift the sternum up. You could even look up with your chin, so the sternum, that breastbone, lifts up towards the chin. And you're pressing the bent leg, shin down, you're pressing the straight leg, thigh down. Now, if you're going further, hold the foot, widen the elbows, hinge forward with the abdomen, chest, chin, and then head. And soften down the ribs on the right side of your trunk. Breathe in the pose. Quieten, internalize your awareness. And then inhale and come up. Stretch both legs forward. And other side. Let the left leg come out to the side. Separate calf and thigh muscle on that inner edge of the knee there. And then if you do have a difficulty with your knee, you could even support that knee, take more height. Become sensitized to what your needs are in the pose. Have your belt handy, stretch up, hinge forward, hold the foot or the belt, and before going too quickly into the forward bend, get the lift, press the thigh of the right leg down, press the shin of the left leg down. Move the left hip forward and lift up. Look up. Now you're either staying there or you're going further into the forward bend by widening the elbows, extending the abdomen and chest, the chin and the forehead. And then when you're in the pose, see if you can lift the elbows slightly and keep the breath moving to stay quiet in the pose, because often what might kick in is a kind of resistance, a reactivity, and we're training our brains to go into positions that are not familiar as a way to training ourselves to being in unfamiliar conditions in life without panicking. So keep the breath moving. And then inhale and come up. Bring both feet forward. And now bring both feet back into baddha konasana. So if you can reach your toes, then take the hands around the toes. And again, you want to lift the sternum up, that central part of the chest. The sternum is a long breastbone, so what I mean is the top part of that central bone where the ribs join. So lift up, move the thoracic spine in between the shoulder blades on the back of the body. Now, if you can't reach your feet, take the belt under the far side of the feet and lift up like so. Equally, so you can also take some bricks under your thighs and you can press the hands down beside you to lift the trunk up. That might help you get more of a lift, and then you can separate the inner edges of the feet away from each other a bit. See if you can widen the groin region. It's not so easy to do that widening if you're holding your feet. As you press the hands down though, the knees may come closer to the floor. It's not necessarily about getting the knees to the floor because we're all individual, but it's about working with the opening here on the inner groin region. And then release. Now, if you have a second belt, grab a second yoga belt. I'm going to get mine just to show you, but you don't need to have a second yoga belt if you don't have one. We're going to take the feet wide into Upavishta Konasana. So I'm still just on a little bit of height, but you might just decide to come off that if you're being thrown forward a bit too much. I'm taking the feet to the corners of the mat there, and then keeping the heels where they are. I'm sort of shuffling myself forward so that the feet remain, but I can increase that angle a little bit. Okay, I've got a slight height under the buttocks, but you don't need that. And then I want to lift up these front hip bones, what Mr. Iyengar sometimes calls the headlights. So these knobbly bits at the front, you lift from there as you press the flesh of the thighs down towards the floor. Try to get rid of the light behind the backs of the knees and keep the toes pointing upwards. Now, if you've got a second belt, you might take 2 belts around the feet and clasp and lift up. That's not necessary though. You can also take the hands behind you, either palms flat or fingertips cupped, fingers forward, and then get the lift like so. You can do that either way, either pressing the whole of the palm down so the arms are straight and then you get the lift in the side trunk, or elbows bent, fingers facing forward, roll the shoulders back, and then you might find you can access the front body more easily. You keep extending into the inner feet. Now, if you've got 2 belts, that's great. If not, see if you can reach your big toe, lift up and hinge forward. If you can't, you're just maybe slightly hinging forward with the hands sliding away from you. Be very mindful that you're not overdoing the stretch in the inner groins. Keep the breath moving, keep the toes pointing up, keep the thighs pressing down. Now, lifting the kneecaps towards your hips can help protect your knees and protect your inner groin. So just being mindful, sliding the hands away, lifting the front body up. Keep the breath moving. And then slide the hands back and bring the feet in towards each other. And just cross them for a moment, cross your legs for a moment, and have a look. Going to build up a bit of height there on the chair seat, and then I'm going to bring the foot up to the support. Now, actually, if you can, if you've got a natural yoga belt, make a loop in the yoga belt. So you bring the tail first through the inner section of the buckle and then through the outer section, and then you can get this slidey open and close loop. Then I'm going to take the foot to the support and the other hand behind me. Now, if you are long-legged, you might take the foot to the back of the chair. And if you have the ability to take the foot high without shortening and lifting the buttock up. So the buttock needs to move down, the buttock bone needs to move in. Okay, so let's take the right leg up, well, whichever leg you want, whichever leg you've sort of set yourself up for. Just take the loop around the ball of the foot, stand a leg's distance away and raise that leg. Take your hand behind your back and hold the tail of the belt. Now observe the intricacies of this pose. It's extremely good for helping you strengthen the muscles of your feet. So press down the whole of the standing leg foot, lift the kneecap up and grip the outer hip in. On the raised leg, don't let that thigh rise up and move the buttock bone forward. So you're really increasing and encouraging the openness in the groin region. Now the heel, if possible, is aligned with the instep, but if you are stiff in the hips, your heel of your raised leg might be a little bit further forward, excuse me. Lift and open the chest. Inhale, exhale, and bring that leg down, and then other side. Take the leg up. And be in the pose. Prepare your standing leg. See where the weight is under the foot. Try not to let that standing leg hip jut out, but grip it in. And then on the raised leg, thigh down, buttock bone forward. Chest lifting on both sides. Head poised and balanced, shoulders away from the ears. Keep breathing. Inhale, exhale, and release. Okay, now I'm just going to make my loop. It's still a small loop. I'm going to have my looped belt around that foot. And then you can use the wall for balance. Lift up, leg comes to the side. And then leg out. Okay, so have a go. Now, I find it easier to actually go from balancing. You could try it with the back to the wall and then bring the buttocks away. But I actually find that a little bit more unsettling. So try being away from the wall. If you're confident enough to do that, if your feet feel like they're strong enough, you need to get that standing leg really lifting. And before you take the knee out to the side, lift the knee up, hold from the inner edge of the thigh, then bring the knee out, and then straighten the leg. Well done, Sue Ellen, lovely. That's it, Marisha. Okay, and then when you've had a go, bring that foot down, and other side. So you may not need the loop around the foot. I only offer that because most people do. But if you can hold your big toe or the outer edge of your foot, then have a go that way. So standing on the other leg, hold your big toe, take the foot out to the side, and then stretch out. And then stretch out the opposite arm. Breathe when you're in the pose. Try to focus on a point that's not moving. And if this is too much for you, you can either do this pose on the floor, lying down, or go back to using the chair. Have the foot on the height. Lovely. Well done, everyone. Keep the breath moving. It requires an intense focus of the mind, this pose. We now, an awareness of the breath as well. We're now going to just use that pile that we made earlier, and we're going to practice a simple twist by bringing that pile of foam blocks fairly close to the wall. I'm then going to bring the leg that's closest to the wall up. Now it's more than, the thigh isn't parallel here to the floor. I want that to be quite high because then I'm going to turn and hook my elbow on the inner edge of that knee and use that action to turn towards the wall, okay? So stand whichever side, I won't do rights and lefts, I'll just say stand on one leg, bring the foot that's closest to the wall up onto the height. But what you want to try to do is have the standing leg just straight up. Then lift the chest, turn towards the wall, stretch up the far side arm, hook the far side arm beyond the inner knee, i.e. all the way up at the wall. Keep the hip that's at the wall level and facing forward, and then turn, having hooked your elbow, the outer elbow, along the far side of that knee that's at the wall. And turn, keep the breath moving. So the chest, you're aiming for the chest to face the wall and the hips to stay facing forward. Otherwise, if you let the hips slide back, then you're not actually twisting the trunk to a right angle. Release that side and then just move the chair to the others. Just move the chair so that if you've got a chair back, so that you've got that chair back further away and you're going to the other side. So raising your other leg up now, stabilize, standing leg, straight up, then turn towards the wall, stretch your outer arm up and hook it on the far side of the knee that's raised, and use that hook to turn the chest towards the wall. Hips level, standing leg, thigh hitting back, and then you can look over your far shoulder. Keep the breath moving. Okay. And then release that side. Ardha Chandrasana. Now you can take a brick or your pile of foam blocks, or even just use the wall. So I'll demonstrate. I'm just going to step and release down. Release my hand down. The toes of the lower leg face forward. And then you stretch up and you bring the top shoulder back towards the wall. If you need some height under your hand, you could take your hand to a chair or a brick. Otherwise, try without and see if you can keep the standing leg straight as you do so. So, turn the right foot out towards the right end of your mat. You're a little bit away from the wall, or you might crash and push yourself away. And just release that hand down, stretch and straighten both legs simultaneously, and stretch the top arm up. You don't need to use the wall if you fancy having a go at this pose without. Of course, I'm just offering you the slightly more restful version. And there are wonderful opportunities to using the wall, but it's not necessary. Keep the breath moving. Look up towards your hand if you're able to. And just check that the toes of your standing leg haven't rolled in. You're still trying to get the openness across the groin region. So that top hip stacks over the lower hip. The chest opens by stretching the top arm up. Okay, inhale, exhale, and just step back with the raised leg and come up to standing again. Not going to break it down too much today. Other side, you might want to stand at the other end of your mat, turn your left toes out along the mat, and then bending that leg, Just take the hand down and stretch the back leg up. You can use the wall to encourage the standing leg buttock bone to move forward if you are at the wall. And to open the chest by encouraging that top shoulder blade to move back towards the wall as well. That's it, Kate, looking up if you're able to. That's it, Marisha. Beautiful, well done. Okay. Keep the breath moving. Inhale, exhale, and come out of the pose. I think because you're all doing so well, we'll do another standing pose here. First of all, just to rest, we'll take the hands to the chair seat for a dog pose. If you prefer to do a dog pose from the floor, just do your dog pose from the floor to get the length in the spine, and see if you can do a dog pose restfully, recuperatively. So stretch the arms, stretch the legs, but keep the throat and mind soft. And if you're using the chair, just simply stretching the sides of the trunk, moving the buttock bones back, lifting the abdomen. You can look forward if you'd like. And lengthening the sides of the trunk. When you do dog pose using the chair, you can really get the sense of the spine extension. Okay, then walk forward towards the chair. We'll have a look at Vrksasana 3. I'm just going to take the hands to the chair back, and then I'm going to raise the opposite leg. If you'd like to do this pose without support, you could be stretching up and hinging forward. In the balancing version, where the trunk, legs, leg and arms are parallel to the floor. So, if, like me, you're feeling a bit wobbly today, take the hands to the chair back. Bring your feet together. Stabilize the feet and legs. And then stroke the big toe of the left foot along the floor and raise that leg up. Standing leg firm. And then bring that foot down. And other side. Well done, Sue Ellen. Lovely. Keep the stretch into the heel, Kate. And then come up. And other side. So you've done it once each side, is that right? Yes, okay. Let's leave it at that. Okay. So now we're going to prepare for head balance. If you practice head balance, and if you don't, let me see, I'm just looking at my list here. Let's do a couple more seated poses. Supta Vrksasana. Now, if you find it hard to go back in this pose, I think you might know whether you need more equipment and you can build a more upright support here. Otherwise, you sit in front of your 2 piles of bolsters, your 2 piles of foam blocks, or your bolster, or you've built up a kind of pile of blankets, and then just hinge back. Now, if you're able to, by all means, do this pose from the floor. Everyone's different. But what I want is for you to lift up the tailbone before going into the full pose and get the stretch in the front thighs before taking the trunk to the floor behind you, okay? So if you need support, build up some support If you don't, fold your legs back into Vrksasana and then take the hands beside you, lift the tailbone a few times, stretch the front thighs, and then come down to your elbows and do the same. Stretch the front thighs and then lie back. And then take the arms over the head and fold your arms above your head. Whatever height works for you, you might be on the floor, you might be on one layer of foam blocks, or plenty more. It's very individual. Feel the stretch from the top of the thigh to the knee. Press down the shins. So the knees aren't all the way flaring out to the sides. You're encouraging them towards the center line, but they may not come down and they may not come together. Then, when you've been in the pose a few breaths, you want to encourage the groin region to release down. But that might be intense for your lower back, so just take your time in the pose. Keep the breath moving. Fold the arms the other way. We're not going to stay for a long time. Just another few breaths in the pose. And then come up. So now you're going to come up and sit on the edge of your support. So you've got a little bit of height for your buttocks, whether that's a couple of foam blocks. You're just at the front edge like that. As much height as you need. Some people need a lot more height in Vrksasana in order to have this position with their legs. Some people can easily sit on the floor. But just check that you're not, you can take down some height if you prefer. Even though I can sit on the floor, I try to have a little bit of height because I can see that I'm kind of stopping the blood flow in the outer ankles. So I know that I can work a little bit more efficiently with just that little bit of height under the buttocks. It's up to you. I mean, it's all a process of exploration, really. You might find, oh, I used to sit on some height. I'm going to sit on the floor now and just practice that way because that's what I feel like doing now. But, you know, I'm encouraging you to take responsibility because what can happen is if the ankles are going all different colours, it's probably a sign that your knees are stressed. So just be observant. So sitting in your Vrksasana, raise your arms up. Take your left arm over your right, above your elbows, and then just walk the fingers towards each other behind you on your back. Just hug yourselves. Just hug yourselves. You all deserve a hug. Of course you do. And then bring the arms up and intertwine the forearms. So the fingers now of one hand are in the palm of the other, and just raise your elbows, but keep the shoulders dropping away from your ears. And breathe. And then release. And other side. So the other arm goes over. It's the opposite arm that goes over. Then the first time you can squeeze yourselves and move the fingers in towards the spine on the back of the body, and then intertwine the forearms. And breathe. And then release. We're going to do a simple twist now, first to the right, then the left, and then we'll do it a second time. So I'm just going to take that hand to the far side of my support. Okay? Simple twist. Try to keep the knees aligned and turn. Come back to center and other side. Come back to center and first side again. And then second side. And now, leaning forward, you may want to have something under your forehead or between your buttocks and heels, but if you can, just keep the buttocks on the heels, stretch forward, knees slightly apart. The inner thighs support the outer trunk, and let the chest release down towards the floor. Press the palms away from you. And then walk the hands back and prepare for your headstand if you practice a headstand. If you don't practice a headstand, maybe just do your preparation for headstand. So I'll show you what I mean. If you haven't got a carpet, you might want a little bit of a blanket in there, and then you fold your mat over the top. And then I'm going to interlock the fingers. You can be near the wall. If you do a freestanding headstand in the room, that's fine. But just check that the bone of the forearm presses firmly down, particularly the wrist. And then you come in, walk in, and then you're going to raise one foot at a time. And the second foot might just naturally come away from the floor. When you're in the pose, have just the heels at the wall and practice taking one foot away at a time. Okay? When you come down, hands back towards the feet. Any questions if you want an alternative? Oh, something's come between us. And it's called Gmail. Okay, off it goes. I think you're still with me. Oh dear. Something else. There we go. Okay, that's it. Yeah, so pressing down your wrists. That's it, Sue Ellen. Yes. Lifting one leg at a time, having brought the back of the body up to the wall. Just bring your elbows slightly closer to each other, Sue Ellen. I think. Can't really see that well, but yes. Okay, that looks about right. Okay. That's it, Kate. Oh, and Marisha's up. Well done. Then when you're at the wall, if you've got the legs raised, you're just going to take one foot away at a time. And you might, that's fine, Sue Ellen, just keep practicing one leg up, then the other, and then you'll get there quite quickly, I should imagine. But make sure you're lifting the shoulders away from the floor. And when you've had a few goes each side, just come down and rest down, because it's quite hard work, actually, if you're not used to it, going upside down like that, even in the preparation, or maybe especially in the preparation. Once we're in the pose, there's a kind of lightness to it, because it's a balance, and suddenly the heels come over the crown of the head, and once we've got it, it can feel quite nice and light, but it takes a while to get there. So rest down if you've had a little bit of a go at it. And if you're in your headstand, just keep the stretch into the heels, the lift in the buttocks, the floating ribs back. And see if you can find the quietness in the head. And if you're not practicing a head balance today, you might just be, buttock bones at the wall, hinging down in an uttanasana like so. Holding your forearms. And when you've come down and rested down, we're going to do a pose. We're going to do Vrksasana, padangusthasana. So if you're okay to raise your head, then just do that now. And I'm going to take the feet to the back edge of the mat. You can use the wall and release the buttock bones to the wall, or coming away from the wall. You might want a little bit of height for your head. We start by stretching forward, then hands back, head down. Or you can take your hands to your outer ankles. Okay, so heels at the back edge of the mat, a good 5 feet apart. The legs are wide in this pose. You can be with the buttock bones at the wall or be away from the wall. Start with the fingertips cupped. You may need some height under your fingers if you've got stiffness in the hips or the backs of the legs. Lengthen forward first, as we were doing in their forward bends. In fact, this is a forward bend. So keep the lift in the thighs. And then hands back towards the heels of the feet, aligned with the heels of the feet. Elbows in and descend the crown of the head. If you need some support, that's fine. Or head to the floor, or just hanging in the space is also fine. It's all fine. Hold the far side of your ankles if you wish, but keep the lift in the inner arches. Press the outer foot down. Lift in the inner thighs. You can feel that action of the gripping in of the hips, which is so essential to getting the length in the spine. And breathe. It's another head beneath the heart pose. All these inversions are really excellent for keeping Alzheimer at bay. I was going to make a silly joke, but I don't think I will because it's really not funny. Okay. Just stay for another breath or two. Keep the feet pressing down, keep the breath moving. And then just come forward with your hands beneath your shoulders now and walk the feet in an inch or two. Take your hands to your hips. And then inhale and come up. Now, I've got a couple of bolsters, but if you don't have several bolsters, you can build yourselves up plenty of support for your shoulder balance. So your support would go like this. And you might also, right, like that. You might also build it up a little bit more with some blankets. Or you might just have blankets and you're going to build up this edge with several blankets like so. Okay? And then, now I'm going to have there a little bit of a landing pad. Maybe a bit more because I've got quite a lot of height with the bolsters today. Just have a look, I'll just remind you of shoulder balance, Iyengar style. I'm going to have a chair for halasana. I'm just going to lie down and have my shoulders on the support and the head comes off. To measure the distance from my feet, I just hold the chair legs like that. Okay, and then you go to your pose. Come on to the tops of your shoulders, and then you're going to lift one leg at a time. The back of the body needs to move in. Okay, so set yourselves up. Maybe this is too much height for you, but for me, it feels really nice on my neck to have more height. So what this is doing is it's respecting and protecting the natural curve of my neck. The shoulders are here, the head is here, and it feels really nice. But if you don't have two bolsters, just build yourselves up plenty of blanket height or foam blocks. And then the chair, an arm's distance away, and you're going to take the tops of the feet, the toes to the chair for halasana. Now, some of you may be able to reach the floor, but just take a chair for halasana to practice the hip alignment action. And you can always take the feet to the floor as well, once you've done that. That's it, Kate. So moving the shoulder blades onto the back, lift the thighs up away from the floor. And then when you've got the toes to the chair, just practice raising one leg up at a time, keeping the other down, keeping the thighs lifting, just taking the leg all the way up to upright, Sue Ellen. One at a time. Yes. Just takes a bit of time to get used to being on a bit of height sometimes if you're not used to doing shoulder balance this way. But it does help protect the neck. And then see if you can take the second leg up when you've had a go. See if you can bring both legs up to upright. Thighs back, tailbone in. The back of the body moves in. Shoulder blades onto the back. And then you just keep the feet at the chair. It just does take a little bit of getting used to. Or feet to the floor, if you can take your feet to the floor. That's it, Sue Ellen, yes. Lovely. Okay. Okay. So now you've either practiced going up one leg at a time, you're still practicing one leg at a time from the chair, or you're in your shoulder stand. Now, if you can reach the floor in halasana, take the toes wide either side of the chair and touch the floor behind you, behind your head. If that's not available to you, don't worry, there may come a time, or there may not, and that's also fine. So now you're going to bend your legs and roll down one vertebra at a time. Coming out of the pose, just slide back off your support, so just your hips are supported, feet flat. And then when you're ready, push your support away and bring the whole of your body flat onto the floor. Let your trunk return to its normal supine position gradually. And take some deeper breaths. Cross your legs the other way. And then bend your knees in towards your chest. And roll to one side and come up. And then, now you don't need to sit on some height for this pose. You might want to. I'm going to have a foam block handy. I'm not going to sit on some height. This is parivritta, twisting janu sirsasana. So I've got this leg out to the side, at the edge of in the corner of the mat, as we were doing earlier with konasana. So like this. So we might start like this, in fact. And then I'm going to bend this leg into a wide janu sirsasana. And then I'm going to, you might want a foam block there. So what we do is we're going to turn and then hinge forward. Might just do a few stretches like that. Don't know if you can see me actually. I'll move slightly further this way. And then I'm going to hinge over, hinge with that arm forward. And then you're taking hold of either side of the foot. Now you may want to just move that arm forward like so, get the turn in the chest. You may want to use a belt around the foot. And then you're holding both sides of the belt like so, or lower arm, inner edge of the foot, upper arm, outer edge of the foot with the elbow moving forward on that foam block. Okay, so bend your right leg in, stretch your left leg out, and now turn towards the bent leg side. And then slide your, you've got your right leg, you've got your, let's say you've got your left leg is straight, I'll mirror you, your right leg is bent, and then your left arm, you're stretching into the room. Just do a few stretches like so, stretching the left arm into the room as you hinge over towards the straight leg, okay? Now, if you find that you're kind of stuck there, just take your forearm to the foam block there, the front of the foam block, and start to get the turn in the trunk. If you can now, hold the inner edge of your foot with your left hand. Then stretch your right arm up, take it over, hold the outer edge of the foot with that hand. Now, if that's not your thing, take your hand to a belt and hold the far side of the belt. Your abdomen needs to be soft so that you can turn as well as release over to the side. Okay. Come up and other side. So stretch your right leg out, bend your left leg in. Take your foam block to the inner edge of your right leg, have your belt handy, and then start to stretch the left side of the trunk by allowing that right hand to slide into the room. Have your forearm on a foam block if you need to. Move that elbow as far forward as you can. Come over your straight leg. Hold on to the inner edge of your foot with that hand. Stretch your left arm up. Take it over. And breathe. Hold the far side of that foot. And then come up. Okay. I think we'll rest now. So finding yourselves a little bit of height. We're going to build up on the chair enough height for the calves to rest. And then I'm going to put a blanket over there so I can slide back off easily. If you've got a stool, it might be even better to have some firm blocks on the stool. Now you'll see why I'm building up a bit, because I've got some height under the hips. And I kind of like the thighs to be upright. So I come in from the side. I have the hips on the support, and then I'm supporting the calves so that the thighs are, if not completely upright, then they're a little bit upright, or nearly upright. And ideally, I'd probably have one more block, but it's not super important. It is actually more restful if the thighs are upright and the calves are parallel to the floor. So see if you can get that. And then take the arms over the head. And if you've got a bean bag or something for your eyes, and just take a little bit of soft weight onto your eyes. And when you're in the pose, breathe normally. Feel as though there's a lake of energy forming in your abdomen, in your abdominal area. So let that be flat. You're in viparita karani with the legs resting. Shoulders are on the floor. Just observe the gentle rise and fall in the abdomen. And let your facial muscles be soft so that the brow releases out towards the temples on either side. The cheeks soften on either side towards the temples. The mouth becomes relaxed. And the jaw is relaxed. You can have your arms either side of your head if that's comfortable, otherwise they could be out beside your body. But make sure you're not hunching the shoulders onto the neck. Breathe in the energy of the sun deeply into your lungs, And breathe out in surrender to Mother Earth. Breathe the energy of the sun deeply into your lungs and breathe out in surrender and gratitude to Mother Earth. Let the out breath be long and soft and smooth. And one more time, breathing in the energy, the solar energy. Breathing out in surrender to Mother Earth. Now prepare to slide back off your support so that the whole of your trunk is resting on the floor. And cross your legs on your support. Just be here scanning your body in Shavasana for a minute or so. See if you're holding any tension in your legs or your arms or your throat. Breathe in, breathe out, let go. Let the trunk drop onto the floor. Let the earth take the weight of your body. Cross your legs the other way. You might have your hands either resting on your abdomen or gently, fingertips curled, palms facing up, arms beside you. Take a deep inhalation, and as you exhale, let go of any tension remaining in your body. Let the whole of the trunk drop down onto the floor. Soften your facial muscles. Soften the root of your tongue. And direct your gaze towards your chest. And now bend your knees in towards your trunk. Gently roll to one side and come to sitting cross-legged for a few minutes of mindfulness meditation. Sit upright comfortably. Sit on a chair or sit in, perhaps in sirsasana with the heels in front of each other, the knees resting. Trunk upright, mind alert and relaxed. Drop the shoulders away from the ears. Inhaling, I'm aware of the inhalation. Exhaling, I'm aware of the exhalation. Stay attuned and curious about the breath, the nature of the breath. The moment at which it changes from exhalation to inhalation, from inhalation to exhalation. Breathing in, I'm aware of breathing in. Breathing out, I'm aware of breathing out. If you find your mind has wandered, gently notice, without pushing that thought away, and neither are you indulging it. Encourage your awareness to come back to the present moment, to the breath, as it enters and leaves the body. Let the breathing be soft and smooth and rhythmic. And the awareness of the breath like a butterfly resting on a petal. Refined, gentle, non-invasive, non-judgmental. And now we'll bring the mindfulness meditation to an end. Bring your hands to your chest in Vrksasana. Bow your head to your heart. Pay your respects to Patanjali, the father of yoga, to the Buddha, to BKS Iyengar and his family who continue to support us, and to your own internal Buddha nature, the guide, the guru who resides within you. May the benefits of your practice come to all those with whom you come into contact. Take the benefits into your daily lives. Release your hands, slowly open your eyes and raise your gaze. Namaste. Enjoy your day, enjoy your evening. Thanks so much for being here. Lovely to see you.
Thank you, Tor.
Thank you. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.